Joe Burrow is feared to have suffered a grade 3 turf toe injury, one that would require surgery and put him out at least 3 months. Per the NFL Network, Burrow is still evaluating options, but the ones that would keep him on the field are dwindling. Dr. David Chow, friend of the program, he commented on that report and said 3 months is very optimistic. Surgery means end of season. Horrible news. That just about changed a lot.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I feel like we've been down this road before with Joe Burrow, but, a game and change into the year, and now we're talking about next year for Burrow again.
So he's played, this is what his sixth season, is that right?
Yeah.
In the NFL?
Yep.
And half of them he's missed time due to injury, if I'm not mistaken.
And
you go into his rookie year when he started playing 10 games. He ended up, was it 2023? A couple of years ago. He, missed, I want to say 6-7 games. Mm-hmm. At that point, I think it was 7 games.
Yep.
And now this. It's tough. And this is not a scenario where you're kind of blaming it on any, like a personnel group or anything else for that reason. He just seems highly injury prone, especially when you go back to his days at Ohio State. And, obviously why he didn't win out the starting job at Ohio State to be there. And so it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow for Bengals fans because with him, you're a Super Bowl caliber team. Without him, and this is no disrespect to Jake Browning, you can maybe still make the playoffs, especially if he plays well in this offense. And we've seen him play well in spot duty before. But if he does need surgery, and he'll go see Dr. Anderson, who's one of the best foot specialists and the guy that everyone goes to, he's got a lot of football left in him. Even at the age of 29 and going to 30, he can play for a long time. This is something, though, that I would be shocked if he does get surgery, he's able to make it back in time. And with a 3-month, let's just say that's, a very optimistic way of looking at it. You also have to look at, where are the Bengals at? If this team, and we're saying 3 months from now, right? So we're talking about in December, if they're out of the playoff hunt, what's the point? You're not going to rush them back to come back for a team that's not in the playoff hunt. So more than likely, even at the most optimistic view on this, if he does need surgery or he does get surgery, yeah, I'm kind of thinking this season's probably over. Now, if he does, a different story. Hopefully he can recover. They can, move on. But that grade of a turf toe injury, and mind you, I'm telling you, it will nag him the rest of his career. These different foot injuries, it could be a Liz Frank, it could be Achilles, it could be a turf toe, getting surgery like that. It will nag him the rest of his career. That's just how it works. It's unfortunate, and it stinks, but this is a huge blow to the Bengals. And if you are the Kansas City Chiefs now sitting at 0-2, or you're any other team that has playoff aspirations, you're thinking to yourself, phew, we don't have to worry about those guys. That's probably one team we might have dodged a bullet with.
Yeah, and I mentioned this, and then I just get this bad feeling about Cincinnati, and I wonder if, and I know he's got a lot of football left, but this is now becoming routine to where, as you mentioned, there's always the injury. There's, he had the hand issue a couple of years ago. He had the knee his rookie season. He had a shoulder that popped up. I think he had his spleen exploded or something in training camp. It just feels like this is always a conversation, always a talking point. And I just wonder, if you go back to that Super Bowl they lost to the Rams, if that really was the best shot. And I know, this is not to try and say, well, that's it. Their window is closed. But if this is the case, more than likely, Trey Hendrickson's not going to be back next year. The defense is already struggling, with Trey Hendrickson in the lineup. He's not going to be back next year. And it doesn't feel like Baltimore's slowing down anytime soon. And it just feels like Buffalo's found what they are. Josh Allen's gotten to another level. We mentioned Patrick Mahomes. That's still something you've got to get through. You look around the AFC in general, it's a much more difficult conference. I'm just skeptical that the Bengals are ever going to get to a point or ever going to get to a spot to where, yeah, this is a team you can count on because something always seems to pop up. Before the season, it was, well, we're going to play in the preseason because we get off to slow starts and we want to try and avoid that. Okay, well, mission accomplished, but then the other issue pops up, and it's Joe Burrow's more than likely going to miss the entire year, and now you've got to go with Jake Browning. If I'm a Bengals fan, I'm looking around going, all right, here we are again. Like, we're so used to this at this point, and now you just got to hope and pray that you're in contention for a playoff spot and Joe Burrow can come back, but it feels like, based on these reports, that it's a long shot at this point.
Yeah, and again, don't need to lose hope. You're, 2-0? And Jake Browning, again, has been in this spot. He's played some good football. So I think there's optimism there. It's just, what's your ceiling? I mean, ultimately, and that, again, not a knock at Jake Browning. I haven't seen him in the moments play in the NFL the way you have Joe Burrow, where he's taken his team to a Super Bowl. He's been that giant slayer, if you will, where he can go up and go hit toe-to-toe with a team like the Kansas City Chiefs and take them down. So that's the big concern. A lot of football left to be played, but to your point, it has to be lingering in the back of every single, Bengals fan's mind. Start of every season. It seems like it's a reoccurring theme. And again, it's followed him since his days in college. So, like I said, it's unfortunate. Bengals fans shouldn't lose hope. They still have a shot with Browning and being 2-0. But it definitely changes the trajectory of what you feel like this season could be.